ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Supernatural Selection. I'm your host, Kevin the Bastard. With me this week are Mike the Skeptic. Mike, how are you doing today?
So, pretty good. Last night I had a shower thought.
Okay.
And Kevin, have you ever come to the realization that you're Fox Mulder and I'm Dana Scully? And I have a question about that.
Well, you have breasts. No, what?
Does this pantsuit make my butt look big?
Your butt makes your butt look big, Mike. That's got nothing to do with the pants.
But, you know, in this shower thought, I had that thought and I started thinking, it's like, I remember like press junkets, like when X-Files was airing, and I don't remember Gillian Anderson having that heavy of an accent.
Yeah. So she moved to the UK.
So was she American and moved to the UK?
Yes.
She was Canadian, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was Canadian and moved to the UK. Kind of like Rita Rudner, the stand-up comedian. She moved to the UK, and now she sounds like a British comedian.
Yeah, no. But, okay, so I
yeah.
did not... I kind of thought something like that, but Canadian, huh?
Canadian.
Well.
From Canada.
I mean, I guess they don't have much of an accent. They just sound like Americans.
Oh, yeah. So...
But you know... Couldn't have a someone with an accent being a spook or G-Man, really. So is spook CIA?
Yes.
And G-Man is FBI?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we also have Mr. David Davis.
Shower thoughts with Mike.
To extend this painfully stretched metaphor, just call me the Fluke Man.
Oh God, the Fluke Man. Man, that was the episode where the X-Files really came into its own, where I was like, hell yeah, this show's great.
Fuck yeah.
So if I'm Scully and you're Fox, what does that make David? Is he like Skinner or is he the smoking man that is feeding your delusion?
I don't know. I already claimed the Fluke Man.
Okay, you're
I
the
even
Fluke
did the
Man.
blah, 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 blah thing. So.
Okay, he's the Fluke Man. He claimed it.
I'm a sewer creature.
There's no...
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense.
I live in the sewer.
Hey, how's it going? Come on down here, guys. It was great.
I don't even know what the Fluke Man was. So.
He was the leech dude.
Google it. Google it right now. Google
No,
the Fluke Man.
He was a leech guy with a big round sucker face.
Okay, I vaguely remember. I watched a lot of X-Files, but I don't remember a lot of X-Files.
That was the first memorable episode. That was the one where it's like, oh, it's not all aliens. Great.
I am the physical embodiment of all three lone gunmen merged together.
You are the
I think
I love those guys. No, because I feed my own.
He's full of information,
Nicotine?
but also very cryptic.
And also sinister.
A little bit.
You know, that's starting to make sense.
That's true. That's true.
I'm going to have to
the
start
smoking
smoking.
Fluke Man. So, this week, we're going to be talking about alien satellites a bit. And my source for this week is the infamous, oft spoken of, Bibliotheca Pleiades.
Just reminds me of Spanish class in high school.
Angel to some, devil to others. It's full of collected writings on the alien conspiracy, and I'll have a link to it in this week's doc if you're interested. Also, check out Wikipedia for more information on our first object that we're going to talk about. But
Now, I know enough Spanish to know what Biblioteca is, and I'm crazy enough to know what Pleiades is. But
yes,
I do want to point something out. So the Wikipedia entry for the Pleiades star cluster is incredibly thirsty. I'm just going to quote it right here.
Yeah, please do.
The Pleiades, or the Seven Sisters, is an open star cluster containing hot young spectral type B stars.
In your area.
Yep.
Down to fuck.
Yeah. It's so freaking weird. The whole that article is just way randier than I thought.
Yeah,
it was
like
be.
the Seven Sisters, hot young spectral types.
Yeah.
Astronomers have needs too, Kevin. Come on.
I know, but also this whole I don't know, spectral types. Isn't that the kind of people you meet at like the holistic bookstore?
I was going to say Seven Ghost Sisters, and now you're getting into some fun territory here.
Oh, yeah. So this week, I did a lot of reading about the idea of alien satellites that have found their way to Earth and our solar system. Now, it's a fascinating concept, I'll admit, that I've used in my webcomic mailbox rocket ship before, and I love this idea. The most recent example of something that spurred this sort of conspiracy came in 2017 when Oumuamua passed through, and we didn't catch sight of it until it had passed us on its way out of the system. Do you guys remember when this was in the news? What do you remember about it?
Isn't that like part of the bird song?
Yep.
Oumuamua.
See, I barely remember it. I was I'd say probably dick deep in academia because I was finishing up my master's degree. So yeah, I that's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's cool, and then I'm immediately back to reading 4 novels a week for classes. So.
Yes, I remember that period where you just kind of vanished. So Oumuamua, which is just incredibly fun to say, it's a Hawaiian word that basically means first scout.
Ooh.
Or first traveler from distant lands, something along those lines. It's the first verified object to have originated from interstellar space to come into our home system.
I don't remember the name, but I do remember that.
Yes. It was between 300 and 3,000 feet long because, you know, space and all. And that's a really big fucking gap.
Well, the more limited your observation window, the less accurate your measurements are.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, saying it was somewhere between 300 to 3,000 feet long seems very non-specific at first, but when you factor in the cosmic math involved, it's amazing how accurate that is.
Yeah. Now, originally we thought this thing came from the Vega cluster, but after doing the math, they realized we have no idea where it actually originated. We know various systems it may have passed through on the way here, and they plotted a course for systems it's going to pass through after it's gone through. But they say that this thing could be over 45 million years old.
Oh, I mean, well, you know, it depends on your definition of old. I mean, all matter is old, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
But it just depends. I mean, I guess you're talking about in its current form, like its current solitary, independent state.
Yes, because it may have been part of the theory due to just the little bit of observation we've had of it is that it might be a chunk of a planet.
Well, yeah,
because of the shape.
Also if it's a actual solid piece.
They say it's a solid piece.
What we're learning through like our observations of a lot of, you know, asteroids in our system that are part of our system is they're basically rubble piles.
Right.
They're just like the one we just the DART mission just impacted. I can't remember the names of those two. But yeah, they're basically just piles of dirt that have through gravity stuck together.
But this one is dart shaped.
Well, yeah,
So,
I mean, any rubble pile is going to be roughly, you know, potato shaped.
Well, yeah, but this is much more elongated.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying is that if it was a rubble pile, it would be more potato and less, you know, shard like.
Potatoes of the gods.
Potatoes of the gods. So the fun part, and this is where we as a podcast come in, is that people started to scream Rama at the top of their lungs, saying it was a spaceship. Because the situation bears some resemblance to Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke.
And they're finally getting a movie of that off the ground. I have never read the story.
Me neither.
I read the synopsis, and it sounds really fascinating. Also kind of... So if they actually get it made and get it done well, it'll be basically on the level of like 2001. In that there's not a, you know, defined, you know, bad guy conflict kind of thing.
Yeah, well,
it's more of a, you know, humanistic, you know, internal struggle type story.
They'll find a way to put a
No, I hope
love interest.
No, because the director involved is supposed to be like a huge fan of the story, so hopefully it can weather, executive meddling.
Now, see,
Hopefully.
I was just going to say this is a further example about how science fiction authors have irrevocably ruined society. Just screaming Rama at a passing rock.
Rama!
But the synopsis I read, it has giant crab robots and hoverboards. How badass does that sound?
Okay, yeah, no, I'm down for that. It's like, yeah. No, I'm down
That
with
sounds
that,
like a
but-
great PlayStation game. Take your hoverboard, flip over the giant enemy crab, and hit its weak point for massive damage.
It's like Marty McFly in Mario Brothers.
But yeah, I mean, the synopsis of the story is basically, this thing, an object that is transiting the solar system is detected. Mm-hmm. And so we send people to it, and they have a brief window to check it out.
And then
And they find, all kinds of crazy stuff. It turns out to be like, the alien equivalent of kind of an O'Neill cylinder, in that, it's hollow on the inside, and all the living space is on the walls of the inside of this, cylindrical shaped object. And, they find houses and stuff, and like machinery and like, robots, but they don't find any living beings.
yeah,
And eventually, of course, they have to leave before,
it
it leaves
leaves
the solar system.
right.
And after that, they don't know anything about it.
Yeah, but from everything I've read and looked up about this, the book Rendezvous with Rama is the only actual proof anyone offers as to why this thing might have been a spaceship and not just a rock. That is it.
Yeah, I mean, it's statistically so much more likely to just be
A rock.
a rock.
Yes.
I mean,
But, no, yeah. I was just going to say, basically, it doesn't take a lot to get the human imagination going where space rocks are involved, or anything else floating around up there. And believe me, we got a lot of space junk floating around up there.
yeah, I mean, it's vast distances of nothing, but it has, crap there too.
Yeah. So, Mike, what do you know about our situation with space litter?
Well, the space cats really do a number on it.
Oh, son of a bitch.
So there's two kinds of, well, I guess three, I guess you could call it, categories of space junk. Mm-hmm. You either have, whole satellites that are dead. Mm-hmm. You have satellites that, through either malfunction or, being dead, but then, say, a sovereign nation decides to test anti-satellite missiles with it, have now become, shotgun-like clouds moving at, very fast orbital velocities.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you just have, random small stuff that is,
Screwdrivers that people let go of on accident.
Or say a rocket, stage separates and little flakes come off, because a lot of rockets use shaped charges or to separate their stages.
Well,
So
all that is what scares me most about like the idea of space travel, because I've watched a lot of For All Mankind, and just like shit floating in space. Just putting a hole through your ship.
The space shuttle. I forget what flight it was, but one of the space shuttles came back, and they had a pretty significant like chip in one of the windows, the front windows of the space shuttle. It turned out it was from a fleck of paint.
Oh my god!
From something else that had hit the window. And I think if I remember correctly, it only made it about halfway in. So it was not in danger of like losing the window, but still. And in fact,
this is
space
setting
shuttles,
off my anxiety.
the space shuttles flew engines backwards. The engines were facing forwards in the orbital track just for such occasions. So like the crew compartment was the furthest away.
And it still got a chunk of paint.
Well, yeah. So,
Jesus.
So most things in orbit go the same way around, which is just because it's easiest. So if you think of the Earth as spinning, I'm trying to remember. So it goes east to west. So the Earth, if you're looking at the Earth from the North Pole, it's basically turning counterclockwise, right?
Sure.
Does that sound right?
I get. I
East
don't
to
know.
west.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think that is so.
Watch,
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'd have to watch
I'm pretty
Superman
sure.
again.
Yeah. So it's turning counterclockwise.
East to west. Wouldn't that be clockwise?
No, if you look at
I'm
a
looking
point on the
straight
globe,
down, if I'm looking straight down at the top of the globe,
yeah, but you're
Yeah,
looking
that
at
would
the
be-
sun. If you say east, the sun is the fixed point. If it's going from east to west, it's moving counterclockwise because it'd be
Okay.
rotating.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
He's right. He's
So-
right.
Most rockets, when they launch into the spin of the Earth. So they're launching with that rotation because it basically gives you, whatever the rotation speed of the Earth is, it gives you that amount of speed for free. Because when you're orbiting a body, your absolute velocity around the body is all that matters. So if you launch into the orbit, so if you launch from
Instead
west
of against
to east,
the orbit.
yeah, if you launch from west to east, you get some amount of free delta V, which is delta V is just a nerdy term for speed. But so it's a long way of saying that most satellites are also in that counterclockwise orbit.
Right.
But some satellites, mostly military, do what's called what's that term?
I don't know.
I forget the term. They do a backwards orbit, so they orbit the other way around.
Retrograde?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Kevin.
You're
Retrograde.
welcome.
Yeah, a retrograde orbit. And those are the ones that would be putting, small bits on a very deadly,
Because they're moving
velocity.
against everything else's orbit.
They're going. So the International Space Station, it travels. Oh crap! I don't remember numbers very well, but it's like tens of thousands of miles an hour relative to the surface of the Earth.
Right.
Anything in that orbit, in that exact same orbit, but going the opposite direction, it's going twice that speed.
If it impacts.
So yeah.
Yes.
So if anything in that is in that orbit going.
It's not like something just sitting there and getting hit. It's basically two cars heading at each other.
Yeah.
Doing like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. So your closing velocities are just stupid fast for that. And that just makes it very bad.
Yeah. So now that that's been said, and I am glad you brought up the whole orbit thing because that is going to come up a little bit as we go. What do you two know about the Black Knight satellite conspiracy?
Is that the satellite launched by the guy from Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
Legless, armless knight shot into space. David?
Well, so this is one of those areas in the conspiracy and weird where I'm like not personally really invested. I just assume there are thousands of secret, sinister satellites orbiting the Earth and stealing my information. And it's also kind of a mundane topic compared to what we've covered on the show before.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't say thousands, but definitely hundreds.
There's enough.
I mean, so do you know that one of the largest satellites currently in orbit is a signal intelligence satellite launched by the U.S. government? I think it has a dish, a main parabolic dish that's about the size of a football field.
My God, that's as big as your mom.
Yeah.
Nah, got him.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's basically, you can think of it as a umbrella, so it unfolded.
Right. No,
it wasn't
I got
that
you.
big when it was launched, but it's just
It will
this
be very difficult
giant,
to.
Reflecting dish that's meant to hoover up all electromagnetic signals, being broadcast in whatever its sphere of, looking at is.
Right.
And that was launched in like the 80s or 90s. So who knows what shit we have up there now?
Yeah, stuff that the secret space missions that they can't talk about.
Didn't SpaceX do that dumb thing where they put a car in space?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ugh.
Actually, also speaking of, the Starlink satellites. there are tons of UFO reports of people saying that, oh my God, I saw this UFO. And it turns out it's just a string of Starlink satellites.
Yeah, the Starlink trains, as the satellite watchers call them.
Yeah, and people think those are UFOs. So let's actually get down to brass tacks and the Black Knight.
Okay.
All right, so our story starts in 1899 in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and Nikola Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tesla had set up a magnifying transmitter there. I don't know if you guys have seen photos of his magnifying transmitter, but this is a thing where he's sitting there reading, and there's just electricity shooting everywhere.
I thought that was a Tesla coil.
Well, I mean, a Tesla coil is part of the magnifying transmitter. This was part of both his studies of radio and his attempts to wirelessly broadcast free energy. And that's probably a subject for another day in and of itself.
Plus, it would give me a chance to talk about The Prestige.
Which, yeah, I still need to see that.
You've not seen that movie?
I can't help it. There's movies coming out all the time.
It's got David Bowie playing Nikola Tesla, man.
How the hell did I miss this?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back and watch.
I saw it, but it's been a long time.
Okay, well, Tesla started getting these repeating signals. And being the meticulous and obsessive guy that he was, he managed to rule out earthbound sources of the signals, and this left only one source. Space.
The final frontier.
God damn it, David. So Tesla theorized that these repeating signals were the first signs of intelligent life from off-planet. And honestly, at the time, it was a pretty safe guess. And speaking of guesses, do either of you want to take a stab at what it was he actually found?
It's probably pulsars or magnetars.
I was going to say pigeons, because Homeboy loved pigeons.
That's very true. But, Mike, you got it. It was pulsars. This is something that they were spotting via radio and radio telescopes for years until they figured out what the hell a pulsar was.
Yeah.
So, now, around the same time in Europe, Marconi, inventor of the radio, was getting his transmissions bounced back at him. Now, this is a common phenomenon with radio with a delay of a few seconds. Now, the problem is that Marconi was getting his transmissions bounced back to him at irregular intervals between several seconds and hours later. And this is still happening today, and it's known to ham radio operators. And we still don't actually know why. These things are called long delay echoes, or LDEs.
I mean, so a lot of that, at least, the really simultaneous reflections are due to atmospheric conditions.
No, that's known.
And in fact, it was something that we used a lot before we had satellites to broadcast beyond the visual horizon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how
they would bounce radio signals off of the ionosphere, I think it was.
Yeah, and that's how shortwave works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's these long delay echoes that are puzzling.
Yeah, and it also kind of reminds me of, so you're asking me about satellites and debris earlier. Do you know what one of the first launches that wasn't really a satellite was? The U.S. government, I can't remember which branch, but they deployed thousands or maybe even millions of tiny iron needles into a low Earth orbit to try to get a better reflection of. So before they had,
that's a terrible idea.
Before they had the technology to have a self-contained satellite that would repeat radio signals, they figured, well, if we could make, an orbit of stuff that would just reflect radio signals better, and it basically what it was is, these little needles basically acted as little antenna. So the radio signal would hit the needles and they would absorb the radio signals and quickly, dissipate them.
Okay.
As little antenna.
Okay, yeah, no, I get you. Here's the question. Where's the story about the herd of cows that were murdered by thousands of needles
The
raining on?
secret government Cenobite project.
I think they were like, I think they were like only a couple of inches long. They burned up in the atmosphere.
Yeah, they want you to think that. This is like that They Might Be Giant song, The Pencil Rain.
Yeah.
Where they just drop pencils from the sky.
But yeah, no, one of the, before, we actually had telecommunications satellites, one of the thoughts was just going to have this giant band of iron needles surrounding the Earth.
It's a tetanus cloud.
Yeah.
I've never been so glad an idea was abandoned before in my fucking life. Now, you're probably wondering, Kevin,
Yeah.
how does this relate to the Black Knight satellite?
Yeah, how does it?
It doesn't.
Oh, well.
Not really. Not until people needed it later. Particularly Marconi and his signal delays and some experiments performed on the LDEs in 1928.
Okay, so, gentlemen, what do you know about Marconi?
He created radio. That's kind of about it.
Okay, now, something about Marconi we should know, and because we can never have anything nice, is that he was a card-carrying fascist.
God
he was.
God damn it!
He joined Italy's National Fascist Party in 1923 and was named by Benito Mussolini Il Duce himself as a member of the Fascist Grand Council.
God, motherfucker! It's in the fucking name. It's written on the tin.
So, but did he completely denounce it later, just like von Braun?
Not really.
Tell us more, David.
So much worse, 2002 documents uncovered by researcher Annalise Capristo in Rome revealed Marconi was rejecting Jewish applicants to the Royal Academy of Italy 3 years before Hitler came to power in Germany and 8 years before Mussolini codified anti-Semitism into Italian society. So again, Marconi is a trailblazer.
God, motherfuck.
So at least there was some credibility to von Braun, like trying not to be a giant shit.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell von Braun was a opportunist.
Like,
he's like, what?
I don't have to go and get murdered. Yes, no, fuck Hitler.
He wasn't a true believer, at least as far as I can tell.
I mean, but
I've
he
read
was
stuff.
He was complicit in the system and was willing to use it, which is the biggest problem of all.
But I can't. So, I mean, this is a whole other discussion. But I would just say I can't completely blame someone for covering their own.
I just wanted to make sure that we all felt really bad about this.
Oh, thanks. We're gonna feel bad later when I get to the dog.
But Marconi was a true believer even before.
Oh yeah, he would. Look, no, he was doing it and then discovered that there was a group.
So he was like, "Oh, my favorite pastime, and they do it too." Yes.
Yeah.
Let
basically,
me be a fascist.
It's basically like if one of us found a masturbation club.
Wait, Kevin, you did. They charge crystals.
God, motherfucker. Anyway,
wait, that's not what our Discord is?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's more of philosophical and emotional masturbation.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So this conspiracy, which, yes, remember, we're talking about a conspiracy here, is like Leela's prom dress of a conspiracy. It's made up of carpet samples that don't fit together or make sense, and it's an ugly, ugly picture. Tesla and Marconi find themselves thrown in at the beginning to give this thing an air of history it would otherwise lack, and they want those signals and echoes to be more mysterious than they are.
So are Futurama references beginning to grow too esoteric?
Futurama references are never too esoteric, goddammit, and we will continue. There will always be a Futurama reference.
You know what also would have made a fun metaphor is the costume Homer made for Lisa for the state of Florida.
Florida, yes. Yeah, this is pretty much that. Now, after that, we got to jump ahead to the 1950s and the idea of pre-Sputnik satellites. And Donald Kehoe enters our story at this point.
So you're saying he's key to this, then?
I'm saying he's a Kehoe.
Woo!
Yeah.
And he's a Donald, too.
Yeah, he is a Donald. But Donald Kehoe was a Marine Corps naval aviator of some renown and actually worked as a publicist for Charles Lindbergh and various other famous flyers.
Okay, now do we know about Charles Lindbergh?
We're not going to get into that. We all know he was a fucking ardent Nazi.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So Kehoe wrote an article for Aviation Week in Space Technology that the U.S. government, and this is in 54, by the way, I thought I had that noted here, that the U.S. government had become aware of 2 orbiting satellites, and at the time, no one had the technology or resources to launch them. And he strongly implied that they may have been of extraterrestrial origin. Now, Kehoe would become the leading figure in ufology during this era, up to the mid-1960s, and he wrote a lot of books on the subject and advocated the U.S. military and government researching the subject and making all the discoveries public. So, good on him for that. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he was also a writer of science fiction and weird fiction and had a lot of his stuff published in Weird Tales magazine. So maybe take his stuff with a grain of salt?
Look, next thing you're going to tell me is that giant man-eating albino penguins do not live in Antarctica.
I'm not saying that at all.
I thought they were like albino gorillas.
No. That's in the Amazon in Africa.
Oh.
Get your
The
albino
Amazon
shit.
is not in Africa, sir.
And in Africa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there are no apes in the New World. It's only monkeys.
Look, are we going to get into an argument about the South American ape that there's a picture of where it's being propped up by a stick on a box?
But then what's Bigfoot?
I remember that.
Well, what's Bigfoot? Yeah. We don't know yet. He could be a ghost monkey. We're still working on that.
But he doesn't have a tail, so therefore he's an ape.
Okay.
Maybe he's very self-conscious about it, and that's why we can't see him, because he's always hiding his shame.
Have you ever heard how I lost my tail?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. He's so he's a Saiyan?
Yes.
You're just saying he's a Saiyan.
I'm just saying. So 3 years later, the USSR would launch Sputnik, and a year after that, Sputnik 2 with poor Laika the dog on board.
What happened to the dog, Kevin?
Look, after the whole thing with the raccoon last week, I don't want to get into it, so let's just say Laika went to a puppy farm on Mars.
A farm upstate with playing and frolicking with other
way
dogs.
upstate.
Yeah, way. So, as Laika made her historic trip into orbit, another object was spotted shadowing Sputnik 2.
Yeah, that's called the second stage of the rocket,
now,
Dingus.
God damn it. Now, during all this, the Pentagon told the press that these were all asteroids that had been roped into Earth orbit, including the one occasionally following the orbiting dog.
I'd like to think that if it was a UFO, the aliens on board are seeing this shit and rightfully judging us.
Dude, given what we know about Laika, I would be going, did they just seriously do that to a dog? What the fuck?
Or maybe they're more of cat beings.
Maybe. Oh, like on Star Trek, it's the cat doctor.
No, I was just saying
that character's great. Dr. Ta'ana is great.
Yes, Ta'ana's great, but
I was just thinking they like cats more than dogs.
Oh, well, maybe. So the next appearance of our mystery satellite is in 1960 when the Navy's Dark Fence radar system spotted a dark object, which I don't know how they knew what color it was, in a polar orbit that may have weighed as much as 15 tons, which was supposed to be beyond what we could get into orbit at the time. And the Pentagon stated this was simply debris from a Discoverer rocket and told everyone to just shut up about alien satellites. Now, at this point, people started referring to it as the Black Knight. And I have dug, and I can find no logical reason why, besides some British rockets referred to as Black Knights.
Well, see, I looked into it as well, and it turns out the inherent misogyny in the satellite kept it from being a white knight.
Oh.
I hear the disappointment in Mike's voice there.
No, it was just more of a than a.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I just want Mike to like me.
Mike does like you, buddy.
I was not channeling my Marge Simpson. It was not
It was not judgmental. Okay, gotcha. Non-judgmental. Then, as if naming it and denying it had a magical effect, the thing just fucking vanished. And it would turn up on and off in different orbits over the years. And not much new info would surface for quite some time.
So just like Mr. Mitzel-Spitlick, I guess.
Yeah, kinda. It's like, it's a black night. Where'd it go?
So what I'm hearing is that any weird radar echo was attributed to being the Black Knight.
Well, if there were more to this theory and conspiracy, I would agree with you, but no. Yes, actually. Let's just go with yes. So I'm just going to quote Bibliotheca Pleiades here for the next portion of the history because fuck it. Quote, the next intriguing idea came from an eminent Stanford space scientist, Ronald Bracewell, and his theory for how an alien civilization might communicate with Earth. Bracewell proposed such a civilization may send a probe out into the universe looking for planets that could evolve intelligent life. They would lie dormant in orbit around the planet until the occupants were advanced enough to send radio signals into space, at which point it would send a signal back.
Now, this is something we talked about in Week in Weird, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
Probably.
We were talking about, like, contact protocols, and then the idea of, like, well, what if it was a AI or some sort of probe?
Right.
Okay. So I just like the eminent Stanford space scientist.
Yeah, well, look.
It's
Bibliotheca Pleiades. This is
space scientist.
This is his
not astrophysicist or
space scientist. Our astromen. Yes.
Or anything like that.
Yeah. No.
Space scientist.
Space scientist. Yes.
Means a scientist they launch into space.
Or it's just a guy who studies volumes.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I made a math joke.
That's a lot of room to put water in. So, the quote continues, was the object found by Dark Fence a Bracewell probe? Fascinated by the possibility, Scottish science writer and amateur astronomer Duncan Loonan, that's a hell of a name, decided to go back and re-examine the data produced by the LDE experiments in 1928. What Loonan says he found was absolutely astonishing. The Scot had a hunch that the seemingly random delays observed in the echoes from 1928 might be significant. He mapped them on a graph and was staggered to discover they formed the pattern of a constellation.
Wait, that makes no sense.
I know. Mike, what part of just tape together BS did you miss?
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That,
So, the constellation, Buddhist, to be exact.
That's my favorite constellation.
But it was... Is it? But it wasn't an exact match. Until you account for stellar drift. When you do, it pegs its origin point as Buddhist, some 13,000 years ago. Now, do either of you know what happened around 13,000 years ago?
Nancy Pelosi's congressional term?
Close.
Okay.
I would say, like, I don't know, history shit.
Very good, Mike. Specifically, the Younger Dryas.
Well, you gotta moisturize.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
my ass is pretty dry.
If you have a dry ass,
I'd rather
should use some
But to
wet
have it
wipes.
at such a young age, that's tragic.
I'd rather have dry ass than cream ass. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
Now, the thing is, the Younger Dryas, we're going to go into this into further detail. That is, like, key to, like, Graham Hancock stuff these days. and the idea of previous civilizations being wiped out during the Younger Dryas. We'll go into that eventually in a show. Like, we may go back and recover some of Hancock's stuff. But I just wanted to get that out there, that the Younger Dryas, everything seems to have happened around this time in every theory I find these days. So, not only this, Lunan believes that the delays and various other things like Stonehenge encoded a message from the satellite, and he has deciphered it.
Ooh.
Mike?
I'm going to let you go. No,
Mike?
I'm not going to say anything.
Mike, put your seatbelt on. Okay, there we go. All right. Here it is, guys. This is our first message from beyond the stars.
Wait, was that part of the message?
No.
Or is it coming up?
No. Coming up.
Start here. Our home is Epsilon Bootis, which is a double star. We live on the 6th planet of 7. Check that. 6th of 7. Counting outwards from the sun, which is the larger of the two. Our 6th planet has 1 moon. Our 4th planet has 3. Our 1st and 3rd planets each have 1. Our probe is in the orbit of your moon. This updates the position of Arcturus shown on our maps.
Okay, so that was a grunt. I'm going to let you two talk about this message for a minute because I really want to hear this.
Okay.
There's so much wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like...
Okay, David, what?
All right. My first observation, this is technically a Buddhist call.
God
It is.
damn it.
You know,
Yeah.
but how to get English out of this?
Yeah, see, that's my thing. That's my first thing. My second thing is the probe is not in orbit of the moon.
Yeah, that's another incongruity I found.
Also, it sounds like a riddle.
It kind of, yeah.
Another one is calling their star, they orbit a sun, which, you know, is, I mean, that's like calling satellites moons.
Well, I mean, that's just a translation error on the part of the person translating
Well,
them.
no, moons are a
Lunan,
sun.
Lunan,
But yeah, no, and the weird check that 6 of 7.
yeah,
It's like, yeah.
there was Lagavulin involved in this translation.
And I have to wonder what his raw data was.
It's
like,
man.
so there's Stonehenge and fucking like constellation map,
and
you know,
graphs
signal,
and
graph shit.
and then just Arcturus thrown in for reasons. So
Wow.
yeah, I just
Dude
wanted
needs to like get out more.
I wanted to throw that out there because holy crap, that is extra right there.
I mean so there's this line I think where, you know, if you're a true believer, you know, that's fine.
Sure.
And you see all this data and drawing, you know, weird ass conclusions from them is one thing, but this comes down on the other side of just making shit up.
You got that too, huh?
Yeah, I mean the all the other stuff like seeing the Marconi and the Tesla stuff. Yeah, I can understand jumping to conclusions from that. But this is
this right here that we just covered is the tipping point into stupid for me. So let's talk about the photo.
There's a photo.
Oh yeah, Mike, are you in the dock?
Yes.
Okay. If you go down, you'll see the photos. Let's talk about this photo. There's this photo going around of the damn thing that was taken in 1998 from the Endeavour.
The space shuttle?
Yes. And I have it in the dock. Mike, if you will look at the photo, do you see the photo?
Yes.
Okay. So this is it. The Black Knight. And I'm not going to lie, it's a pretty haunting photo if you haven't seen it. It's just this black mass floating above our home of planet Earth. And it was enough to get me interested in the topic. It really does look like some kind of a craft until you see the other picture.
Yeah, see, like, I'm looking at it, and it looks like someone dropping a Hot Wheels car out of orbit.
It does kind of look like somebody dropped a Batmobile Hot Wheels from the space station.
So I just opened up from the NASA JSC website, the raw, the biggest version of that photo, and that looks like a trash bag.
Yeah, well, hang on, because there's another photo in the dock. If you will scroll down right under.
Yeah.
All right, you see the other photo? Mm-hmm. That's a tarp.
Yeah,
Looks like a pterodactyl.
It's
so. I
mean, it does.
True.
Are
yeah.
you saying it's an interstellar dinosaur?
Yeah, it looks like a pterodactyl. That's all I'm saying.
I can kind of see that.
I don't know. It kind of looks like E.T. sky surfing to me, but
so
it's
here's a
tarp.
Well, probably
It's
not a.
obviously the heat shielding tarp that they lost during the mission. They even reported that the thing drifted off of the shuttle.
So, yeah, there's all kinds of bits that can come off of a space shuttle. Not to mention that all their orbital maneuvering thrusters had debris covers over them that weren't like expelled until the first time they fired the thrusters to keep, during launch and, handling and everything to keep birds from shitting in their, engine cones.
Meanwhile,
and it could easily be one of those.
I mean, meanwhile, if I was in orbit, I would be anxious as shit seeing anything fall off my ship at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like,
God, I hope we didn't need that.
Yeah, I sure hope that's not important.
It's like, I can't remember which spacewalk, but there was one space shuttle spacewalk. I think they were doing a Hubble servicing or something like that, where one of the astronauts dropped a tool. Well, you can't really drop anything,
but he let a tool go.
But they lost a tool, and they just couldn't get it back because, well, once it's out of arm's reach,
you're fucked.
Really nothing you can do about it.
Now, on top of these observations about the two photos, which I had to dig for that second photo.
Yeah.
Because people that believe in the Black Knight, they don't want you to see that second photo.
Yeah.
Where it's a
where it has obviously changed shape completely.
and is a tarp. Yeah. So on top of that, actual sightings of the satellite that people have reported over the years, Mike?
Yeah.
It's orange.
It's orange.
The Black Knight is fucking orange.
So it's not the Black Knight, it's the orange New Jerseyan.
It's the orange Julius.
Well, you know what they say, orange is the new black.
I should be mad at that, but it works. I should really be mad at that joke. I'm gonna let it go, though. I'm gonna let you have that one. But yes, technically it's the orange Julius flying around in a polar orbit, which, it's pretty fucking, yeah. Mike, how difficult is a polar orbit, real quick?
So, it's, like I was saying before, you lose that extra speed boost you get from going with the orbit of the Earth. But also, because of because you don't want to drop stages of your rocket onto populated areas.
Okay, but if it's coming from outside of the Earth.
Oh, well, then it's so if you're coming from, interstellar,
Booties.
it's not any different than any other orbit because you still have to scrub the same amount of velocity off.
Right.
So
But if you're coming from space, it's easier to get into a polar orbit than if you were to launch.
Well, I mean, no. Depends. So it's all about your speed. Orbit. So any orbit around a fixed orbit around the Earth, you have to be going a certain speed.
Right. Or the orbit decays and you crash.
Yeah. Well, or you're just in a different orbit. So an orbit and the speed you're going are synonymous. So if you're going, X miles or, kilometers per second or whatever, you're at that orbit.
Because the faster you go, the more escape velocity you have, and the
faster you
go,
larger. As you go faster and faster, your orbit increases in its period. You're basically the circle around the body gets bigger.
Needs a tampon.
So if you're coming in, it just depends on your speed when you're coming into the system. You have to bleed off most of that speed.
Okay.
And to get into that orbit.
Now let me ask you, if it's a magic alien satellite that can change its orbit all the goddamn time.
Look, if we're talking about, an alien thing, it's fucking Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it can do anything.
I mean, in theory, I always wondered about Star Trek, why they bothered even getting into orbits, because couldn't they just fucking hover over something if they really wanted to?
Yep, pretty much.
I mean, the only advantage in that case you'd have of an orbit is you don't have to station keep. You don't have to burn energy. You just get into the orbit and you can be like, okay, we don't have to worry about what we're doing. We're just, parked. Basically.
Right.
It's the orbital equivalent of parking.
Yeah, no, I mean, standard orbit, Mr. LaForge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
when you have infinite energy, it doesn't matter. Any orbit is exactly the same.
Right. So honestly, even Bibliotheca Pleiades manages to talk itself into this being a series of unconnected incidents linked together in the most haphazard of manners. Mike, I hate to say it, but the Believers did your job for you.
Damn it.
As much as I love the idea and concept for this from a storytelling point of view, and as much as I'd love for this story to be true, the orbit on this one has decayed, and it's crashed and burned.
Ooh, well done.
Thank you.
So, I think it's pretty conclusive that this is just some space debris. Also, as a conspiracy topic, I just find this to be not woo-woo enough to intrigue me.
Sure.
Unfortunately, what we have here are two very different topics that conspiracy brains have mashed together like peanut butter or chocolate, but not as good. So maybe like peanut butter and Tide Pods.
Or like, I was going to say NyQuil and peanuts, but sure.
With that said, it doesn't get to the issue of what necessarily Nikola Tesla, Guglielmo Marconi, and Jorgen Hals, who was someone you should also look up regarding this topic as Jorgen Hals, experienced in the early days. Jorgen. Yeah, Jorgen Hals, yes.
Yes.
The radio things that they experienced in the early days of radio signals, really interesting topic in and of itself. So
Right.
I find the connections between early radio and this orbiting object conspiracy to be incredibly forced.
Yes.
And it does a disservice to the more interesting individual elements of the strange radio transmission. But even those can be potentially explained by the fact that radio was pretty fucking new and nobody knew how this shit quite worked.
Quite. And even today, though, with the delayed echoes, it is still not entirely solved. We don't know why the non-standard delays happen. But it really is kind of a... I'll be honest, it's kind of a shit conspiracy theory, and I dove into this hoping it'd be better, but even Bibliotheca Pleiades was like, no.
This is the conspiratorial embodiment of that poorly photoshopped star with "You Tried" on it.
Yes. This is like really these are the guys that talk about the 13 alien races and xenopolitics and shit, and they're like, yeah, it's a tarp.
I mean, and so something else we haven't really brought up is that not only were they pioneering radio, basically the exploring of the radio domain. Their equipment was garbage by today's standards. I mean, they didn't. I think they might have had vacuum tubes, or they were starting to use vacuum tubes, but even then, a bit of something just like hooked up wrong, some noise in the system just could throw off all of their data.
Because they didn't fucking know.
Yeah, I mean,
It's all trial and error. The only difference being Tesla was like I said in the outline, Tesla was meticulous in his science.
well, there's meticulous, but there's also, you know,
Here's the thing. Never mind. I was just gonna say he got some of it figured out. So
yeah. I mean, I think Tesla did good things, but I also think he's way, way overblown.
I kind of agree.
In his
Place in history,
yeah, and in his
genius,
like acumen.
Yeah.
He had some good ideas, but he also had some terrible ideas.
Terrible business sense, too.
Oh, God, yes.
That was pretty awful.
But, I mean, a lot of what he did, he's got a reputation these days because everybody hates Edison so much.
Yeah.
And it's just easy to latch onto him, and, like, the myths of what he's done has grown exponentially.
Yeah, no, Tesla and Westinghouse were definitely the better...
The unsung heroes, as it were. But, I mean, Edison just had, better PR.
Well, and we can assassinate Nikola Tesla's character later.
He wasn't like a fascist too, was he?
No, but like, just we're going to have to do episodes on some of his I think the wireless energy thing would be a fascinating episode to do.
Oh, yeah, cuz we can link that straight to Tunguska.
Yeah, I think Mike should handle that one.
Oh, yeah.
Make him do some work for a change.
Yeah. So, that's what we got for the for that one.
So, in summary, you did my job for me, and I could have just went to sleep.
No, we needed you here for reaction.
Have you ever heard of a wet fart before?
Yeah,
that's what this episode was. Is a wet fart.
I'm 45. It happens daily, just about.
Yeah. If a fart isn't wet, there's something wrong.
Look, I was gonna say at this age, every fart has the potential to be an emergency.
I haven't known the dry ass since I was younger.
I was born into the wet ass.
You got it. The younger dry ass.
Yes, no, I got it.
Yeah. I thought you would like that more.
No, I didn't like it before, and I don't like it now. So, David, have you got any X for us?
Yeah, why not? I have a fun one.
Oh, good.
Okay, so this is a thread on X, so be prepared for a little misogyny.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Just a little.
Just a scotch.
Okay, so the topic is just a simple two-question or a two-line post. Can I use magic, with a K, to get a girlfriend? I'm lonely.
McGick.
Magic. To get a girlfriend. I'm lonely.
Okay.
So the first reply in the thread is, there are some decisions you don't want to have been made for you. This is one of them.
Yes.
And then the person responds, what do you mean? And then, let's see, let me pull up. So then the person who warns him says, my friend and I shit-talked this chick into existence for a mutual friend, and ignoring that there's a real person attached to that with some potential monkey paw outcomes. It's not like either of them had a free choice in the matter, if such a thing exists. Long story short, not the best idea, even when it works out about as well as it could in the end. Too long, didn't read. It's like letting your mom pick out your clothes. So apparently they used magic to spontaneously create a woman.
So you're telling me they made a sex tulpa?
So this was the script for Weird Science.
Like it isn't even
Holy
really like
shit.
It's not even really like
You're
a sex
right.
tulpa, because they're not even talking about like the sex component. It's just like they created like a
made a
mediocre
girl
relationship.
Was she wearing a little crop top and gym shorts?
You are reminding me of my puberty.
I'm describing Weird Science here.
Yes. But
I need to watch that movie again.
my problem with what we're talking about here is just reminding me that, sometimes white kids just have so much time on their hands, they'll just tell you some bullshit like, oh, yeah, we created an imaginary girl that came to life.
Oh, well, I've got more for you, gentlemen.
Oh, no.
So here's another person responding to the initial post. I asked the sun to send me a woman if it thought I was ready. Met a
What?
girl. Synchronicities off the chart. Seemed perfect. Still blew it. I'm just going to be Lone Wizard street artist for now. Keep shit simple.
Wow, that's sad.
A person goes, ask the sun. That works. And then, okay, here's the reply. So this is a nice lengthy reply from the sun summoner here.
Yeah, okay. Also, when the dude said, oh, you can ask the sun, that'll work, apparently not.
Well, apparently it may have. I don't know. Here we go.
Okay, yeah.
So here's
explain it.
here's a story. Yeah, I have a very large granite in the ground at the park I go to. And then, the green text sort of like arrow to show like this is a line.
Yes.
Stood on the stone, one of the largest single pieces on the planet. Drew a circle with a piece of wood from nearby. Stood in the circle, dropped to my knees, converse with the sun. Don't bullshit, just say how you feel. All right. He continues. It is a park wilderness that I was very familiar with, and it familiar with me. I keep it clean and talk with the trees, etc., etc. Green text now continues. Days later, I am walking by the same place, sitting on a rock near the circle. Cute girl. Walk by, say hi. Brambles literally grab me, and I pass as I pass and catch my clothes. Tells me she say a blue snake up a trail. Which one? Show me. Smoke weed. Date. Go our separate ways. Regret but growth. I might ask again soon, but I feel like I may have to prove myself for a while just to see if I need more self-work. Wow. Amazing story.
That made my butthole itch.
Amazing story.
Yeah. Wow. Just... What?
Okay, here's another great reply. Personally, I have tried my own brand of this. While yes, it was successful and shows potential, you are better off just reading picked up artist material first. Save the magic for later. Once you have a firm grasp on the game, then you're ready to go deeper.
No.
Oh, God. Hey, it'd be cute if it wasn't for your nose. Man, fuck that shit.
Oh, this is amazing.
Oh, my God.
Do you want flirting advice from a 4chaner?
Do I ever?
No,
Okay.
but go ahead. It should be entertaining.
Hey, I like how, speaking of real quick, none of us have brought up the whole pissing in a jug thing from Alex Chu because no one wanted to watch that video.
Oh, I thought we were saving that. I think we'll save that for our next Week in Weird, because we're going to have a guest on for that one.
Yeah, oh, God. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
What else?
So here's some dating advice from a 4chaner.
Oh, thank God.
So learn to flirt. The best way to learn to flirt is act playfully and try to make other people laugh or crack a smile. Do it all the time. Do it with men and old ladies. Then when you are doing it with a girl that's actually attractive, you just add a more sexual component to it. Change your frame of looking at the world. Instead of wanting to be cool or caring about what people think, try to be like Chad. Chad is bored. Going to the grocery store bores Chad to tears, so he fucks around with everyone around him because that's more entertaining than walking around grabbing food. You can emulate this yourself pretty easily, unless you have real autism. If you do have real autism, focus on making a lot of money or something, because I don't think you could ever really get good game.
What? Wait. Oh my God. Okay, we're done with that. That's terrible.
I'm just glad I was able to give you something.
Oh my God, that was terrible.
It is the most horrible thing. It's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got some questions. If you would like to ask us questions, hit us up on Twitter at SuperNatPod, and we will answer your questions on the show. You can also head over to our Discord via the link at supernatpod.rocks, or you can send us a message via our contact form on the same website. So, first question is from Kickassatron. This is an interesting one, and we'll get all of our opinions. Is Mothman a modern version of a banshee, given their history of being omens of death? Mike?
I don't know. I mean, sure, why not? Because they both don't exist.
God damn it.
Well, and I'm gonna take a crack at this because this. If you want to understand what my thought process is, go back and listen to our episode. That's the Fae it is.
Right.
Because the idea is that, like, the Fae represent, they take on forms based on what's going on in society and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the idea of a Banshee maybe being, like, a antiquated, older form of what is the modern-day Mothman makes a lot of sense in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, it essentially fills the same role.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's essentially the same spirit with a different mask.
Mm-hmm.
Is a general idea.
They put a different skin on it.
Yes, exactly.
But it still does the floss, like a Fortnite.
In the doom that is our world, we have installed the Mothman mod.
Now, see, I was going for a Fortnite reference for the kids. You know?
Yeah, I'm going for the older audience.
Yeah, well, that seems sus.
Yeah, well, fuck your sus. So,
and it's sussy.
Yeah, God.
Well, no, there's... Okay, do we need to get into the etymology of the word sus?
I would rather we didn't.
Okay.
I know what it is.
And sussy is in the context of sussy jack.
What?
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
No.
I was just going for
Like, you know,
Bussy,
the
but
mussy.
sussy.
Yeah.
Fucking it's sussy.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna pretend this part of the conversation didn't happen. So, question from Ghost Forge this week. This is one we mentioned the charging of crystals earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If Oregon Energy was both detectable and a power source, would people crank it more or less on average? Also, did you know that there's a mecha anime where the aliens are killing people for their Oregon Energy?
Okay.
Okay.
On the second one, I have to figure out which one that is. Cause
I was gonna say, is that Evangelion? Because I know I've consumed some
No.
Oregon Energy to some of the pictures.
But on the first one, I mean, so if one, I think people would want to crank it more, but then Big Oil would be, you know, trying to shut us down, so they'd be putting saltpeter and everything.
Like, what's the exchange rate? That's the question. Like, how much power do you get from? And like, is it the process of? Is it
it's
the
enough
process
to make a crystal
So
glow.
let's say if you did your normal cranking it session,
Right.
you could charge your phone.
For how long? Like full
Like
charge?
full charge, yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
Yeah,
That's a lot of power.
yeah, I know.
that would
That's a
change
lot of
everything.
juice.
So,
I mean, like if that was a thing,
Hey, I gotta charge my phone. Give me a couple minutes.
although I'd have to
BRB
say,
charging my phone.
I'd have to say it's not exactly clean energy at that point.
It's sticky energy.
Yeah,
I don't like it. By the way, according to Ghost Forge, that anime is called Captain Earth.
Never heard of it,
that
I haven't.
I have,
but
I
I'm
think
gonna have
it's
to
been on
watch
my
it now.
List.
Might have to give that a shot.
Now, in the context of the anime, is the Oregon Energy like the same thing, or are they like mistakenly
I have
referring to
no
Oregon
idea.
Energy as something else? Like, are these aliens literally killing people for their goop?
Because
What's going
if
on?
so,
it's
they
probably
need to
just
do it
the-
like the Greys do, because that's how they get
It's
it.
probably just the MacGuffin.
Okay.
I'm sure
Probably.
cranking it doesn't enter into it.
I agree, though, that I think people would crank it more.
But then Shell would be, you know, totally against it, trying to make it illegal.
Oh,
Gives
no,
new
dude.
meaning to the term Jiffy Lube.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
God, that means like KY and Astroglide would become like, you know,
The new currency.
yeah, or just like, you know,
Oh my God! Have you seen those hospital masturbator machines where it literally just looks like a fleshlight attached to a giant machine?
Despise
It would be
those.
like a fucking gas station. You go there, plug your phone to the USB slot, sit there at the machine as it pulls one out on you.
Oh, God.
dude, teenage boys would be like, you know, the perpetual motion machine.
Oh, God. Birth rate would go through the roof just
No,
for energy.
Actually, I think it would like
No.
tank.
We would start having more kids so we could utilize, like, the government would start making us have kids So we'd have that many teenagers.
You'd have the Department of Cum.
So the strategic pubic reserve.
Ew.
This is horrible.
Why
This
is
is
it
terrible.
always...
China already kind of did that, didn't they?
You know, the end of the show is always disgusting.
Ghost
isn't it?
Forge, what is your damage, Ghost Forge? I need to know.
He likes to watch us suffer, or he listen to us suffer.
Sam and Ghost Forge, man, they both just want to make this dirty as fuck. What happened to you two? Oh, children.
Just just have to do that lizard tits episode to make him happy.
Look, I'm looking forward to that one. I don't give a shit. Also, there was something I was going to say about an upcoming episode, and I can't remember what it is. Oh, we're going to do, speaking of Oregon and aliens and jerking it, I'm reading Communion right now by Whitley Strieber.
Jerking, no. Let's not phrase it way, because what happened to him was terrible.
Well, yeah, no, but I'm reading the book, and holy shit, it's amazing.
Yeah, the milking chapter?
No, the book.
Oh, okay.
The whole book, because,
Right.
for once, it's written by an author.
Has anyone ever written a extraterrestrial bodice ripper?
Yes.
Okay.
We could do an episode where we read one of those.
You know, we might just. We'll have to find one. I guarantee it's on Kindle.
Of course.
Yeah. So, I think that's it for this week. So, we'll be back next week with a Weekend Weird. So, and you say we have a guest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Should I announce or should we hold off?
I think we're going to hold off and just have that be a surprise.
Even to me, because I don't know.
That's right. I haven't talked to you about it. We'll tell you about it after the show.
I don't know. You could leave it as a surprise. It won't bother me none.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
I could be the audience surrogate.
Yeah, that works. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, again, you can find links to everything involving the show at supernatpod.rocks. Find us on Twitter at supernatpod. Find David at HBKOMIC, HP Comic, on Twitter. And find links to all of his stuff. David, what you want to plug this week?
I'm going to go ahead and plug Kids' Stuff, the Chucky podcast that I do with my wife.
Great
my
show.
wife. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're 2 episodes deep into the current season. We're going to be recording the 3rd episode for the 3rd episode of the Chucky Show, and
I saw the first 2 episodes, and wow.
great. It's great stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's wild stuff. Wait till you watch that 3rd one.
Wild stuff there, Ed. Yes, I'll watch the 3rd one as soon as Mike gets it for us.
It's up already.
Cool. All right. So, thanks again for listening. We will be back next week. So until then, stay safe and stay frosty. Goodbye. It's fucking orange.
Maybe it was a space condom.
What if it's just an orange? A space orange.
We didn't mention a space potato.